I'd like to call to order the Plan and Zone public hearing tonight on Tuesday, November 5th. I'd like to thank everybody in attendance and ask everybody to please silence their phones as it could interfere with our audio. We'll start out with the public hearing. Roll call first. Mr. Commissioner Tallman.
Schneider. Here. Lammers.
Present.
Med.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Tallman here. Ingram.
Present.
Connell's excused. Hepner.
Here.
Bransgard.
Here.
Reinhardt's excused. Manus. Here. We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Tallman. If the audiovisual department's listening, could you please change my screen to the Plan and Zone Commission as opposed to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board? I'd appreciate it. First item of business is a public hearing for case number REZ 19-11, request of Raju Pemacha to rezone 7.04 acres located at the southwest corner of North Division Street and West 76th Street from R-MF, Residential Multifamily District, to C2, Corridor Commercial District. Matt.
Mr. Chairman, I will be abstaining from this case.
Thank you, Commissioner Tallman.
Thank you. I'm Matt Flynn, Community Planning and Economic Development Department. Just give a few brief comments. This is a public hearing. You know, we don't make a recommendation. We just provide an overview. And another apology, we don't have a projecting screen today, so I've passed out our very brief PowerPoint to you all, and apologies to the audience. I'll also note that I don't believe the petitioner's here either, so I would leave that up to you whether or not you wanted to close the public hearing or leave it open. Again, this is 7.04 acres at the southwest corner of North Division Street, West 76th Street. This is adjacent to the new segment of 76th Street that connected Northwest Boulevard to Division Streets. Provided, I think most people will agree, is a welcome relief to traffic from the Scott County Industrial Park. Further to the east, the property is currently zoned RMF, which is residential multifamily. Go back in history, was zoned R6M in the previous zoning ordinance, so we just carried that zoning across. To the east of the property is a what was still planned as a residential subdivision with a commercial node at the corner. Not speaking for the developer, but he's told me that they're currently kind of on hold with that project, waiting for either demand to increase or financing opportunities to be a little bit different. But I think it's important to note that there is already 15.6 acres more or less of land zoned C2 corridor commercial at the southeast quadrant of this intersection. Also, if you look at the comprehensive plan, we're between our industrial designation as well as residential general. And we've gone over residential general many times as not an exclusive residential designation. Does allow some intensity, particularly along edges, corridors, whatnot. So I think one of the main questions that we would ask would be, as we move forward, I won't read it, but is it appropriate to introduce even more neighborhood commercial at this location? And if so, perhaps the comprehensive plan needs to be amended to show that. Currently, the plan doesn't show any commercial at all at this location, but obviously, like I said, there's already 15.6 acres. Remember, in certain locations, we've got what we call a neighborhood commercial node, and it doesn't show an outline, it just shows an intersection where we believe that there's an opportunity and potential over the long-term need for neighborhood commercial. I've included that in your packet. Again, I don't turn to my side very well, but I think one thing you want to do when you do a neighborhood commercial node is you want to make sure that it's not just simply a convenience store or a strip center put at an intersection. It's actually a development that's not only designed well, but also integrated within the neighborhood. We know we've got two arterial streets here, or I'm sorry, 76 is a collector, but you've got two busy streets here. We want to do whatever we can to promote, like I said, an integrated development, not just simply rely, even for people in the nearby neighborhoods, if they choose to have to get into their car and drive to this area. So as we move forward, whether or not this gets the support not only of staff, but from the P&Z as well, we would hope that if you do believe that additional commercial is warranted, that the comp plan should be amended to include that. I think we also have to question the need for this amount of commercial at this location. If you add the 7.04 acres, it could, you're getting to a rather sizable amount of commercial. You're in an area that, yes, we've had a lot of industrial development to the north, but not a lot of residential. We have commercial, you could argue commercial, neighborhood commercial at I-80 and Northwest Boulevard. Is that adequate to serve the neighborhood, or should we introduce more land, even if it may not develop for quite some time? Other normal issues which, were, I will say, brought up at the neighborhood meeting a couple weeks ago. People generally concerned about stormwater. This is adjacent to Goose Creek. Not necessarily concerns about drainage from this development, but the drainage issues that already occur along Goose Creek, even to the point where Division Street is on occasion overtopped with flood water. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners,
And I
do you
don't
have
know
any questions at this time? Commissioner Lammers?
I don't know what to do just for consistency's sake in the past, in recent past, if the petitioner wasn't able to go to the next meeting. And I think because it's jumping zones again, which is similar to a case we just had, I'm feeling comfortable proceeding with the public hearing.
I am going to say that it appears as though we've got some people in the audience that may be here for this. I would like to listen to the public hearing, but we will keep it open till the next meeting. But at the same time, I'm going to throw out to staff that if the petitioner doesn't have the time to show up, we'll table everything. I'm not going to proceed on this after our next meeting if he won't be here to answer questions.
Again, I can't speak for why he's not here, but I think we were certainly all on the same page when he submitted his application, had the schedule. So I don't know, but I would agree. I think I would recommend not closing the public hearing and giving the petitioner an opportunity to speak.
Yep. Do you have anything else then at this time? Commissioner, go ahead, Commissioner Johnson.
Across the street, the property, that there wasn't a demand for the single family. Do you anticipate anything there in the coming, close future, or what kind is the status of that?
Well, again, this was about 3 years ago, and I believe it was called Inverness Estates. Is that?
I think
I
you're
have
right.
the right name. That's rather sizable preliminary plat that came before the commission. It was over 200 lots, mainly single-family residential. According to the subdivision ordinance, if a preliminary plat doesn't move forward with at least a one final plat or a request to keep the preliminary plat intact, it technically lapses. Now, this commission, other commissions I've worked with in past lives have been a little bit flexible with that, but the best answer I can give you right now is that again, there has been a lot of activity in the area other than with Sterilite and Kraft coming on. There's some new housing, but this isn't in a section of the city right now that's seeing huge demand for residential.
Commissioner Johnson. And I'd like to ask everybody to speak a little louder tonight. It doesn't seem like our microphones are working that well for everybody. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. My question is about the notification, and I noticed in our in our packet, and I can't get it to pull up now, but for the notification area, it seems like it was right on the edge of like the nearest actual homeowners, and was curious if we notify them anyway or not. And I guess I realize that if we do, it's kind of going above and beyond, but then I would hate for it to come back at us later that, you know.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's another reason why we put signs up on the property. I know people saw the signs and came, and I can also tell you that neighborhood representatives from both properties to the south as well as in the Ridgeview neighborhood did attend the public hearing. As always, I encourage people to tell your neighbors. You're right. It can be problematic when we we kind of ad hoc extend our notification areas. That kind of gets into I'd say some gray legal areas in terms of providing equal protection and due process. So we've really, as a city, have decided to stick to the 200. But again, we've put up multiple signs on the property. We encourage people to talk to their neighbors, and we contact neighborhood organizations in the area when we know they exist.
Thank you. Any additional questions of staff at this time? Thank you, Matt. I will make it official by asking, is the petitioner present, or is there a representative of this petition present at this time? Seeing none, I will move on to, would anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of this petition? Seeing none, okay. If you want to speak in favor of it, please step forward, give us your name and address, and feel free to speak.
My name's Earl Glaus, and I live at 6 Musket Court, Leclerc. I've owned for 44 years the land adjacent to this land that has been up for rezoning, and I agree it's inside of a business park now. Everything to the east and to the west is commercial. It only makes sense that this should go commercial as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Like I say, I've owned it for some 44 years and diligently paid taxes on it, and it behooved me to see this be approved.
Thank you.
Is there any questions?
I see none at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak in favor?
My name is Kathleen Curo. I live at 1802 West 75th Place, which is the little villa right on the edge of Ridgeview Drive. And I'm not actually speaking in favor. I just want to express a concern. I'm not protesting. I'm not angry. I'm not upset, but I'm concerned about the water issue. The city makes us, or has made us in the past, have 2 ditches that feed into the creek there. And I think that if something gets built up there and pours water down the hill, we're going to get slammed with water over our berm. The other thing I want to emphasize is we love our trees. We don't want to lose one tree to development for any reason, because it shelters us from Division Street. It's a wonderful place to live. I'd like it to stay that way.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak in favor or in opposition to this project? Please step forward. Final call. Anybody like to speak? Seeing none. Commissioners, any additional questions? Seeing none, we will end this public hearing, but we will not close it. And I would like to ask staff to get a hold of the petitioner and express the importance of him being here, him or her being here at the next meeting.
Will do.
Thank you, Matt. That would close our public hearing for tonight. We will move on to our regular meeting. Roll call, please.
Schneider. Lammers.
Present.
Med.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Tallman here. Ingram.
Present.
Connell's excused. Hepner.
Here.
Ransgard.
Here.
Reinhardt's excused. Manus.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Report of city council activity.
Nothing more other than the 3 approvals that were in your packet.
Thank you. Secretary's report. Move report. Second. All those in favor of the report as printed signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, same statement. Secretary's report will remain as printed. Move on to comp plan. Anything new, Matt?
No, but since we've got a relatively short agenda, we're we're putting together our capital improvement plan and for the upcoming 5 years. And one of the things that we would like to at least discuss whether or not we should pursue would be an entirely new comprehensive plan for the city. The last one was done in 2005. There is no set schedule that one must adhere to, but generally speaking, about every 15 to 20 years, it's time that many communities will take a close look at not only existing conditions in the future, but it may be worth some more discussion in the upcoming months. This would probably not happen for at least 3 years, and it would be either bringing new people on staff or working with a consultant. But just wanted to put that idea in your heads.
Thank you, Matt. I would agree with that we are due for a review. Move on to zoning activity. It appears as though we have none tonight. That would take us to subdivision activity. Commissioner Lammers.
I have a glucose monitor. It just went high. That's what you just.
Uh-oh.
All right. And I don't know if it's gonna do it again. I apologize. All right. Subdivision activity, old business, there's none. New business, case F19-17, request of Townsend Engineering for final plat for a 2-lot subdivision on 3.38 acres, more or less, of property located at 4729 Progress Drive, contained, I don't know if that container is supposed to be, Progress Drive. Staff recommends that the City Plan and Zoning Commission accept the listed findings and forward case F19-17 to the City Council with a recommendation for approval, and I so move.
Case F19-17 has been moved and approved for, seconded for discussion. Matt, any
Yeah,
additional conversation?
Just real briefly, this is a simple 2-lot subdivision. The property contains the Stay Bridge Suites that's opened within the last 18 months, and they're just looking to sell the northern portion of the property. There
Thank you.
are no conditions associated with the recommendation.
Thank you, Matt. Commissioners, any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please. Oh, sorry. Got involved the crowd. I'm not still used to our new rules. Would anybody in the audience like to speak either in favor or in opposition to this case? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Schneider. Yes. Lammers.
Yes.
Med.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Tallman, yes. Hepner,
Yes.
Bransgard,
Yes.
Manus.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next case, P19-04, request of Verbeck Meyer Consulting Engineers PC for a preliminary plat for a 7-lot subdivision on 1.19 acres, more or less, of property located south of 46th Street between Grand and Tremont Avenues. Staff recommends that Plan and Zoning Commission accept the listed findings and forward case P19-04 to the City Council with a recommendation for approval, subject to the 2 conditions noted, and I so move.
Case number P19-04 has been moved and seconded for discussion. Matt?
Yeah, you probably noted that this preliminary plat and the following final plat are for the same property. This was land that was rezoned maybe 2 years ago to multifamily for a small townhouse development. Pretty straightforward. There are two somewhat standard conditions that are included with our recommendation.
Thank you, Matt. Commissioners, any questions of staff? Seeing none, would anybody in the audience like to speak either in favor or opposition? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Lammers,
Yes.
Med,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Tallman, yes. Hepner,
Yes.
Bransgard,
Yes.
Manus,
Yes.
and Schneider. Motion carries.
Final case, F19-18, request of Verbeck Meyer Consulting Engineers, PC, for a final plat for a 7-lot subdivision on 1.19 acres, more or less, of property located south of 46th Street between Grand and Tremont Avenues. Staff recommends the Plan and Zoning Commission accept the listed findings and forward case F19-18 to the City Council with recommendation for approval, subject to the noted conditions, and I so move.
Clarification, Matt, your handout says F19-14, but the website says -18.
I'm all but certain that 18 is the correct number. I apologize.
In that case F19-18 has been moved and seconded for discussion. Matt, no additional?
No.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Anybody in the audience have any thoughts or concerns? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Med,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Tallman, yes. Hepner,
Yes.
Bransgard,
Yes.
Manus,
Yes.
Schneider, and Lammers.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That concludes the subdivision activity.
Thank you, Commissioner Lammers. Future business, we have one item on our agenda to take a look at for our next meeting. Communications, would anybody in the audience or commission or staff have any questions, statements, concerns? Seeing none,
I'll just mention, as far as that neighborhood meeting for the upcoming rezoning, I don't believe we've zeroed in on a
okay.
meeting time yet, unless the chair knows something I don't. Which
No,
is
I have
entirely
not been
possible.
informed of when that is or where it is. Any other business, additional business? Matt, anything? Thank you. Commissioners, anything? Seeing none? All in favor of adjournment, signify by aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance. Please drive home safely.
Feel better.
Yes. Right. I know. I know.
And it's like, oh shit, I want to get out of here by
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
Thanks, Tom.
How you doing?
Get well.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
So do you know anything? I mean,
No,
I wonder
it's still on council from my last.
Pastor next time to get that one corner
Right.
exempt.
Yep. Still trying.
All right. Yes, teaching today. I will find out why he wasn't here.
Find out.
Why
Thanks, Gary.
our client wasn't here. See you,
Yeah.
Gary. I expect to see this next time, okay? It's November.
Yeah, that
I brought back from before was this.
Yeah.
No, it's too bad. I mean, I just talked to our designers who are actually meeting with him. I think it's tomorrow or next week, but it's soon. And it's like, I'm gonna take all this to him and say, I'm sure they'll talk to him. He needs to get his ass down there, or we should be here.
Yep.
But nobody
Yeah.
said anything, but we're not part of this one, so
Yep.
he did it all on his own.
He was at the neighborhood meeting, but not like he didn't know. But I know it sets a bad tone in my mouth.